to the Quiet Warrior Show, where we help top leaders find their pathway to incredible success and a lifetime of happiness. Here is your host, Tom Dutta, the Quiet Warrior.
Well, welcome to the Quiet Warrior Show. My name is Tom Dutta, and I am the Quiet Warrior. I'm excited and honored to have on my show today Mr. Peter Legge. Hey, Peter, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tom. It's an honor to be here. Heard lots about what you do and your work, and so I'm very excited about the next 15, 20 minutes.
Absolutely. It's a beautiful sunny day out here on West Coast Vancouver. And I got to tell you, just so the audience knows, you and I met many years ago, and I was the CEO of an insurance company, and we wanted to have a speaker come up to the Painter's Lodge. It was a retreat for many other of our clients, and there you were, and I was so inspired then, and I read many of your books. So why don't we give you the first word and just tell us a little bit about your background, Peter?
I've been running Canada-wide media for 43, almost 44 years. And it started very humbly with one little television magazine, which I acquired from sports talk show host Al Davidson many, many years ago. And so patiently sticking with what I have always known best is I've always been in media in some aspect. So I thought, well, this would be a good company to grow and develop. And we've had good years, we've had bad years, we've had disastrous years. But by pursuing our goals and our dreams and our ambitions and sticking with the one thing that I knew the best, we've done pretty well. So here we are, some 43, 44 years later, and with the largest independent magazine or media company owned by a family, certainly in Western Canada. So I'm very honored to do that.
Well, congratulations on all your success. I mean, there's a lot there to unpack, and we'll get you into your hero's journey story in a moment, Peter. I do have your bio, and I say to people when they come on my show that we have successful people on our show. They don't have egos. They're authentic, and you certainly are that. But I'm going to build you up a bit because there's so much more to your background. So, I've learned from your bio that, Peter, you live your life dream. I'm inspired by those words. You're an internationally acclaimed professional speaker, best-selling author as well. I think you've authored over 20 best-selling books, some notable titles for sure. And in addition to the work you've done building your media company, there's many awards that you've won. And what I'm really interested in is your everyday experiences when you're speaking come from your work as a leader, as a husband, as a father, and a CEO. Toastmasters International voted you the Golden Gavel Award winner, top speaker in North America, and more. Even the National Association of Canadian Professional Speakers has inducted you into the Speaker Hall of Fame. And of course, you've got many degrees, so you value education, a couple honorary doctorate degrees, and then the books that you've written take me into the biggest awards I see are the Queen Elizabeth II Diamond Jubilee Medal in 2012. And I'm really proud to say that I'm a British Columbian, and you were awarded the highest honor in our province, the Order of British Columbia. So that's the backstory behind you on paper. But here's the thing, Peter. Authentic leaders don't talk and brag about their success. They talk about the challenges and how they got there to inspire their people. So why don't I get you to just take us back into your story and tell us more?
You mean from the beginnings when I started Canada-wide media, or some of the highlights and lowlights as well?
Absolutely. We're interested in all of that. Go for it.
Well, I was interviewed recently for Inspire magazine that's given away at all the PharmaSave stores.
Yeah.
And one of the questions the writer asked me, he said, if you were 20 years old, what piece of advice would you like to give to somebody? And I'd say, take your eyes off of you and focus your eyes on other people's needs. And it's amazing what will happen to your career and your organization and the respect that you ultimately are looking for in the marketplace. So never mind about me, but what is it that you need that I can help you with? And if you take that approach to life, whatever business you're in, if you're in the sales business, or maybe you're in the marketing business, or maybe you think you're doing a humdrum job, but if you focus on other people's needs and do your very best to serve those needs, it's simply amazing what you can achieve and accomplish in what I call your runway of life, which is a very short period of time for us to make an impact on the world. So take your eyes off of you and focus on the needs of other people.
Well, that's amazing, Peter. I just want to jump in. You sent me on a journey. I'm thinking back to being 20 years old, and do you remember being 20 years old yourself? And a lot of 20-year-olds, they're maybe not as thoughtful or balanced in their thinking. They sometimes are stuck in the cycle. Sometimes we meet people who have difficult backgrounds. They're having challenges in their life, and they really can't see the need for gratitude or the need for helping other people. Just tell us more about how you actually, did that yourself and built the success that you have today.
Well, one of my mentors, and my main mentor in life, in fact, I'm having lunch with him today, is Joe Siegel.
Yeah.
Joe is 93, and I was working at a radio station in Vancouver, CJOR, and I'm not sure if it's still on the air, but the sales manager said to me, and I was like 19 or 20, and he said to me, "You're going to be calling on Fields department store, and the individual you're going to talk to is Joe Siegel. Do your homework or he'll eat you alive." So I did my homework. I didn't want to be eaten alive. I went down to his store. He asked me to come to his office, small little office, and he said, "What have you got for me today?" And I immediately started to tell him how successful the radio station was, what our ratings were, personalities, et cetera, et cetera. He said, "No, I'm not going to buy that. Come back and see me next month." He made me do that for 6 months.
Wow.
And amazingly, I did the same thing every month I came back to him, but he still didn't buy anything. So on the 6th month, I said, "Joe, you've asked me to come back. You said you like me, but you haven't bought anything. Can you help me understand why?" He said, "I was waiting for you to ask me that question. Every time you've come in here, you've wanted me to buy what you want me to buy. You haven't once asked me what my needs are. You haven't once asked me what I'm trying to do with Fields Department Store." That piece of advice completely changed my sales career and changed my life. And we still meet today. As I said, we're having lunch today. So the first thing I ask people is, what are you trying to achieve, Tom, with your business, with your venture, with your whatever it is you're doing? And then I kind of figure out, is there any way I can help you achieve that goal?
That's fantastic.
It, pretty simply.
That's fantastic, Peter. And having a great mentor or mentors in your life, I think every successful leader that I know, it talks about having a coach or a mentor. When I ask you a question about your work as a thought leader, many people say that we have gifts. You have these gifts, and you decided at some point long ago to become a thought leader, to get on the world stage or go and share with others. Give us some advice, because our audience are top leaders that have to share their thoughts and inspire other people. How did that all start? They say sometimes, Peter, success starts when you're in your first 10 years. Where did you get that idea that I want to write books and I want to go and share my experiences?
Well, I even in high school, I emceed most of the assemblies. So I went to Lester Pearson High School in New Westminster. And so I've been attracted to the stage, to presenting ideas and thoughts and things that are going on in my mind. But what I think is important is that people in my audiences today, some 50 years later, they want to hear real life stories. They're not that interested in statistics. I know statistics are important, but they want to know real life stories of where you succeeded, but more importantly, where you failed and what you did about that, and how you reconcile that failure with continuing to attempt to be successful. So my presentations, when I speak to audiences, whether it's an audience of 50 or 500 or even more, I tell real life stories of what I've been able to accomplish and overcome. And they can relate that to their own life, their own career, their own marriages, their own circumstances, wherever they're from, and come to the realization other people share those those griefs and triumphs at the same time.
Yeah,
So my messages are all basically 90% stories.
That's pretty amazing, Peter. I think you nailed it there. What a great leadership lesson for leaders who have to inspire their teams. If I learned long ago what you said by listening to you once in a public talk, I learned that our brains are wired for narrative. We remember information more when we're telling stories versus facts and figures. And so you mentioned a word that sent me on another journey in my mind, which was the word failures. So we know about all your success and we're inspired by your background. And take us into that journey and tell us a couple of stories. What were the biggest failures? What did you overcome to keep moving forward?
About maybe let's say 8 to 10 years ago.
Yeah.
We were having a very challenging time with one of our employees. And I absolutely knew that individual, very nice man, and was working hard, but he was taking the company in the wrong direction.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew I had to make a change, and I did. But I made the change almost too late, and it cost us about $1 million.
Wow.
I had to come up with $1 million myself to keep this enterprise going, because I believed in the enterprise, I believed in our staff, I believed in what we were doing and the new ventures we were going on. And so that was a very traumatic time for me, because if I hadn't have done that, there would be no Canada Wide today. But that was the best thing I could have done and did. And we have now gone from success to success to success. Whereas you may have read in the last few weeks, we've made the biggest acquisition of our entire history. We've purchased Western Living Magazine and Vancouver Magazine and all its specialty publications from the Yellow Pages, which is, we could not have done that had we not stayed the course, had we not invested in the company, because I believed in the company and I believed in the staff. And so we have been able to resurrect the company and gone from strength to strength to strength. That's the biggest challenge we've had over our years. We've had minor challenges every day. John Maxwell taught me many years ago. He said, if you're looking for success, whatever it is, whatever success you're looking for, you got to know this: it's all uphill. Just don't develop downhill habits. So that piece of advice has resonated with me too.
Yeah, that's amazing. Congratulations, by the way, on the acquisition. I did take note of that. Very interested to see how that vision will unfold, Peter. Wanted to ask you another question about failure. You talked to us about the business almost failure and the courage actually to make that change. What is one of your biggest personal challenges, and how did you overcome that? Because I always like to say that business and family and personal life is all connected. In the work I do as a CEO and a mentor to others, I find that sometimes people have blinders on. They're not able to show vulnerability. Top leaders can't show up authentically because they don't want to reveal. But the power in the stories of our personal failures are the ones I think that can inspire many, many people. So tell us about one of yours.
Well, there are obviously challenges every day, every week, every month, every year, different challenges.
Yeah.
But the big challenges are where your leadership skills and your dedication and your willingness to risk it all, if you have to risk it all, which I have done a number of times, because I believed in our people and I believed in the direction we were heading. And so you've got to be courageous enough to make that decision. Now, you might not want to bet the farm. I understand that. But, 45 years ago, I got fired from a radio station. It was his radio station. We had philosophical differences, and I was let go. And it was in Langley. We lived in Coquitlam. So on the drive home, I thought, in those days, there wasn't the freeway. I thought, well, what do I tell my wife when I get home? I've got fired. She's going to say, okay, so you got fired. That's probably a good thing. But what's your next step? What are you going to do about that? What have you learned from that? What character traits do you want to get rid of that are not helping you achieve the success that you're looking for? And so it was at that point I thought the only way I can't get fired again, unless it's my own stupidity, is if I had my own company. And that was a pivotal moment in my life. So I bought this magazine from Al Davidson, as I mentioned, and we've gone on from strength to strength to strength with challenges along the way. So you've got to believe, you've got to have an incredible hard work ethic. So sometimes I get in here at 4 or 5 o'clock and do what's necessary. I don't make a big to-do about it, but I do what's necessary. Do what's required, but do what's necessary.
Well, that's amazing. First of all, Peter, thanks for your courage to share that, what probably was a difficult story at that time. I got to tell you that I've taken that long drive. I lost a job, and I remember the biggest fear I had was coming home and how I was going to explain it to my family. And then I had a counselor tell me that when you lose a job, what you need to realize is that your family, or particularly your spouse, grieves with you. They don't say anything. They're trying to be strong. And I was looking at one of your books called The Courage of Leadership and the Strength of Character, and you use that word character. And so I want to just talk to you about two words, character and passion. They say that people wake up in the morning and love themselves first and can find their passion. They do things for themselves. And what drives you in every day, Peter? Do you have a passion? Do you have something that keeps you moving forward? And the other piece of character, they say that people who develop character usually develop something that's not innate in their current or their personality. For example, if I'm not very patient with people and I learn to be patient, I can become an indomitable leader. So tell us what your passion is that drives you every day, if you have one, and also how have you developed your character to be what you are today?
I think what I try and do, and I've done this for many years, and I hope it's not obvious, but I'm more interested in how I can help you or a potential client achieve your dreams and goals and visions. And if I can do that, then you might assist me. You might not, but there's no possible way that you will help me achieve my dreams if I'm not helping you achieve your dreams and lifting you up and encouraging you and having you see that you have got great ability. God has gifted you with some great brains. How are you using it? How are you serving mankind? That's the key. What can you do to serve mankind? I had a client, I won't tell you his name, but I had a client phone me the other day, and he said to me, I've got somebody I want to nominate for the 40 under 40. And you put that on. Can you help me? Yeah. Well, we don't put it on. We actually do the 30 under 30. The 40 under 40 is done by another great magazine in Vancouver, Business in Vancouver. So I researched, I got all the information from Business in Vancouver. They do 40 under 40. They do a great job. And I got all that information for him because the chap he was going to nominate was 38 or 39, and he couldn't win the 30 under 30, obviously. So I sent him that. I said, here's how you do it. Here's what you do. Here's the people you contact. Has nothing to do with me. Has nothing to do with our company. Now, so if I did that for him, do you think the next time I call him, he'll take my call? Do you think if I want to sell him something or do something for him, he'll listen with different ears? And the answer is yes. But it took a little time and a little effort to get the information that he wanted from a competitor. Absolutely. So how many people do that?
Yeah, I think it's rare, and it's a skill that you have. That's a great story, Peter. You said something else that set my mind on another journey about service, being in service to others. So it leads me to my last question, and then we'll give you the last word as we wrap this up. And that is, if I met you on the street and I've known you a little bit, and I said, "Hey, so Peter, what is your purpose on this planet?" What might you say?
What's my purpose on this planet? My purpose has developed over the years, but it is, where possible, to serve mankind. Whether it's a charity, I spoke yesterday morning for all the volunteers, the staff that work in a volunteer organization, Variety Club. I think there were 20 of them. I'm happy to do that. I didn't get paid a penny. I wasn't expected to be paid, but I prepared for that with the same gusto as if I was speaking for TELUS downtown for a lot of money. So I want them to be motivated. I want them to be excited about what they're doing. They're helping raise money for families and children who have significant disabilities that they may never conquer. That's what they do, and they need to be motivated and encouraged to continue to pursue that. So that's what I would try and do.
Well, that's just amazing. I mean, I'm so inspired and proud of you, Peter, with the work that you're doing and what you just said there. I could see why that the universe is giving you abundance in all your life and business success. And I think we can learn so much from that. I have to ask you this. It just popped into my head. And the word imposter syndrome, they say that a lot of CEOs, top leaders, they all struggle with this imposter syndrome. They wake up some days and pinch themselves and says, is it really me? And have you ever sat back, and I'm sure you don't, or you do think about the fact that you've met so many people, the stories you must have in you. You sometimes just pinch yourself and say, is this real?
Yeah, I don't think I've actually heard that word before, but it's a good word, the imposter syndrome. I do pinch myself, and I think, I believe I've worked hard. I have been honest, never lied, cheat, or steal ever for any reason. You make mistakes. I've made mistakes. You've made mistakes, and I probably will make a mistake today or tomorrow or next week. But what can I do to present myself as someone who is committed, who's trying to develop their character, their work ethic, and create a great environment for my staff so that they can be the best that they can be. And people will model what they see the boss doing.
Yeah.
People will model what they see the boss doing. If the boss swears or the boss drinks every lunchtime and smokes and does things that he or she shouldn't do, they will model that. They will model exactly what they see, because if you do it, they think it's okay to do. So are you modeling honesty and integrity and a good character? I can't say that I did that all my life, but certainly for the last 25 or 30 years, as it has impacted me, how significant your words and your character and your development of those basic fundamental truths are evident in your life. Then they will be drawn to you, and they will listen to you, and hopefully they will follow what you're doing and what you're saying.
Oh, that's just a great lesson in leadership you just gave us, Peter. What a gift. Words matter. You took me back to when I was 31 years old. I became a CEO for the first time. I didn't even know what it was. And somebody gave me a book back then, and I think it was called, Becoming a CEO and Staying at the Top. And I remember in there, there was a chapter, and the paragraph said, when the CEO sneezes, the office catches cold. And it is so relevant what you said. What a great lesson you gave us, Peter. I write down words as we're talking, and I do the interviews, and they're leadership words. They just come to me. They're not scripted. So I want to honor you with 4 words before we turn it to you for the last word. First one is humility. I mean, there's no question. You have great humility. You have tenacity. One of your book titles, The Power of Tenacity. Man, you're it. You're a leader. You're what great looks like. And finally, inspiring. I can say personally, Peter, having read your book, seen you speak, and even now, I'm so inspired by what you do. You're so humble, but you're giving me so much. And this show will become a legacy to help so many other generations. So thank you for doing this. But I'm going to ask you to tell us where can people get a hold of your body of work, your books, connecting with you for anything related to your work?
If they go to Peter Legge at CanadaWide.com, Peter Legge, Legge at CanadaWide.com, they will get access to my site. They could order my books if they wish, or they could say, can we have a chat next week? Or they can get through. And my assistant's name is Heather, and I can assure you that if people do that, I will get back to them as soon as possible. Might not be immediately, but it will be as soon as possible.
Well, thank you for that, Peter. And everybody, live like Peter does, with passion. Find that true purpose. Live the life that you deserve and desire, and find this show on iTunes so you can listen to it and pass it on to have others hear the great Peter Legge. And that's all for today.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Tom, very much.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you for listening to The Quiet Warrior Show. Create is a motive-based leadership development firm. www.kreat.ca